In the ancient kingdom of Zamora, Queen Nadia was known for her beauty-warm brown skin that glowed like sunset, eyes deep like river water, and a grace that made the entire kingdom bow in awe. But her marriage to King Baraka was cold, distant, and built more on politics than love, leaving her heart silent and lonely for years, until one fateful season when the king appointed a new royal guard captain, Malik, a tall, sharp-jawed warrior with broad shoulders, honey-brown skin, and eyes that carried both danger and softness, the kind that could melt steel. From the first day he stood outside her chambers, Queen Nadia felt something she had not felt in years, her pulse racing, her breath catching, her heart remembering what it meant to feel alive. Malik, disciplined and loyal, fought every day to keep his gaze straight, but the queen's presence made his heart betray him. How she walked like wind, how her long braids brushed her shoulders, how her voice was gentle yet powerful. And though he tried to remain stone-faced, Nadia noticed every small thing, how he stood closer when she walked by, how he breathed deeper when she smiled, how he stiffened whenever she touched her necklace near him. Their tension grew like fire trapped under dry leaves. One evening, during the moon festival, the queen's golden anklet broke, and Malik knelt to pick it up, his fingers brushing her ankle just a second, but enough for both to feel lightning shoot through their veins, and when their eyes met, neither looked away. From that night onward, stolen glances became longer, their conversations grew softer, and the palace walls seemed to whisper their names together. One stormy night, the king traveled to a distant province, leaving the palace quiet except for the wind. Queen Nadia could not sleep and stepped onto her balcony where she found Malik standing guard below, rain soaking his armor, and when she whispered his name, he climbed the steps with a hesitation that burned more than desire, because he knew he was walking toward danger. "My queen." "This is forbidden," he said, his voice shaking more than the storm, but Nadia stepped closer, her eyes shining with a truth she could no longer hide. "Forbidden does not mean untrue. And I am tired of living without truth." Malik lowered his head as if giving up a lifelong battle, and in that moment, two souls who had been starving for warmth finally let their hearts breathe standing close, hands trembling, feeling the storm but choosing each other anyway. From that night forward, the queen and the guard shared a secret bond, never crossing the line of honor, yet their hearts tied together in a fire no river could put out. The kingdom sensed something changing, though no one could prove it. Songs began to spread in the market of a queen whose smile had returned and a guard whose eyes held a hidden glow. And even though fate was watching and danger lingered in the palace shadows, their story became a whispered legend of a lonely queen, a loyal guard, and a love too powerful to hide, too dangerous to reveal, and too unforgettable to ever fade. The next morning in the golden halls of Bantu Kingdom, Queen Zara tried her best to hide the storm brewing inside her heart, acting calm as she sat beside King Nandla during a council meeting. But every time her eyes accidentally drifted toward the palace gate, where the royal guard, Kato, stood at attention, her pulse betrayed her, beating like African drums calling a hidden fire to life. And Kato, though disciplined, felt every pull of that forbidden bond, his jaw tensing each time their eyes met even for a breath of a second. That day, King Manla announced a 7-day diplomatic journey to a neighboring kingdom, leaving Queen Zara behind to manage the palace with grace, unaware that this very decision was about to change the fate of his marriage forever. The moment the king's caravan disappeared beyond the red dust horizon, the palace seemed to exhale. Silent, slow, dangerous. Queen Zara walked the corridors with a strange nervous energy, and Kato, posted near her courtyard, felt the air thicken around them like destiny tightening its grip. When Zara stepped into her private garden that evening, where orange lanterns swung in the breeze and the scent of marula flowers filled the air, she found Kato already standing there, inspecting the area for safety as always. "Kato, you may rest." "No threats here," she said softly, but her voice carried a tremor that made Kato lift his gaze with concern. "With all respect, my queen." "Sometimes the greatest threats are the ones we feel inside," he replied, instantly regretting the honesty in his tone, yet unable to take it back. The queen's breath caught those words felt like they weren't about danger, but about them. And for a moment, both stood still, as if even the night was waiting. A soft wind blew, lifting the edge of Zara's royal shawl, and Kato instinctively reached out to steady it, his fingers brushing hers for a mere second. But that second was enough to ignite everything they had been trying to bury. Zara stepped back, flustered, whispering, "This is wrong. A queen must not feel this." Yet her eyes said something entirely different, something longing, afraid, and alive. Kato bowed his head, his voice low and conflicted. "Your Highness, I would give my life to protect you. Even from my own heart." The garden fell silent again, except for the distant hum of night insects and the heavy beat of two hearts at war. Over the next few days, their stolen moments grew harder to avoid. Zara passing by the training grounds and lingering a second too long, Kato escorting her through the palace corridors and feeling the air vibrate between them like a secret. The palace maids began whispering, "Why does the queen smile this much lately?" While the elder guards exchanged glances whenever Kato returned from her chambers looking too tense, too distracted. Still, neither Zara nor Kato crossed the line. They only hovered dangerously close to it, living in that intoxicating place between desire and discipline. But on the sixth night, when a sudden storm shook the palace, lightning flashing across the courtyard, Zara found herself standing at her balcony, shaken by a loud thunder. Without thinking, she called, "Kato!" And he appeared instantly, rain dripping from his armor, breath heavy from running. When their eyes met in that stormlit moment, it felt like the universe had stopped pretending nothing was happening. The queen whispered, "I called because I didn't want to be alone." And Kato, trembling with restraint, stepped closer until the storm winds wrapped around both of them like a spell. "You are never alone, my queen." "Not while I breathe," he said, and neither moved away, caught between duty, danger, and the kind of forbidden longing that could rewrite kingdoms. And as the thunder rolled again, both knew that when King Manla returned, nothing in the royal palace would ever be the same again. When dawn broke over the golden savannas of the Kingdom of Sarana, Queen Naleli stepped onto her balcony with a heart heavier than the crown she carried, because the night before she had shared an emotional closeness with the royal guard, Kato, that she knew could shake the very foundations of her kingdom. And yet the calm morning air only reminded her of how safe she had felt in his presence, how his silent loyalty had warmed a part of her soul the palace had long neglected. But her peace shattered when General Baruti, the king's most suspicious advisor, approached her with narrowed eyes, speaking in a tone coated with hidden threats. "Your Majesty, the guard Kato seems to be spending too much time near your chambers." In that moment her breath hitched, for she knew any rumor could turn into fire, and Kato, who had only protected her, would be the first to be burned. Later that day, King Mansa returned unexpectedly from his diplomatic journey, embracing his queen with affection, completely unaware of the silent storm swirling inside his home. And as Kato bowed before him, the king placed a hand on his shoulder proudly, praising him for his loyalty, while Kato avoided the queen's eyes, terrified his emotions might betray him. But destiny twisted further when a group of rebels attempted to infiltrate the palace that night. And it was Kato who fought fiercely to protect both king and queen, standing as a wall between them and danger, taking a deep gash on his arm in the process. When the rebels were defeated and King Mansa rushed away to secure the rest of the palace, Queen Naleli found herself alone with the wounded guard in a quiet corridor lit only by torches, and when she reached for his injured arm, her hands trembled not from fear, but from the overwhelming truth that she cared for him far more than she should. "You could have died," she whispered, voice breaking, and Kato, breathing hard through the pain, murmured, "For you I would risk everything." And the weight of those words struck her harder than any blade. She pressed a cloth to his wound, fighting the urge to cry, fighting the reality that her life had become a crossroads. She never asked for duty on one side, destiny on the other, and Kato, feeling her shake, gently said, "My queen, if my presence puts you at risk, I'll leave the palace." but the panic that flashed across Nelleli's face made him freeze, because she grabbed his wrist and whispered, "No, don't ever leave," the confession slipping from her heart before her mind could stop it. Their eyes met, raw, honest, afraid, and they both knew the line they stood on was as thin as a knife's edge, yet neither stepped back. Over the next days, they avoided each other for the safety of the kingdom, but every stolen glance in the courtyard, every brief moment when their hands brushed during ceremonies, every silent heartbeat shared across the throne room only deepened their emotional bond, a bond the wind itself seemed to carry through the palace halls. General Baruti watched them with increasing suspicion, sensing the invisible thread tying them together, and he began gathering servants' whispers, waiting for proof that could bring the guard's downfall. Meanwhile, King Mansa remained unaware, trusting his wife and loyal guard, blindly believing the palace was a place of purity when in truth it had become a battlefield of unspoken love, hidden dangers, and choices that could either save or shatter everything. And as Queen Nelleli stood once again on her moonlit balcony, looking down at the silent guard standing watch below, she realized that this story, hers, Kato's, and the kingdom's, was far from over, and fate was only now beginning to tighten its grip. And so, in the silent halls of the African kingdom, their forbidden love continued to burn, hidden from the world, but alive in their hearts. Remember, every secret has a destiny, and some desires rewrite fate itself. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to African Folktales Official for more stories that touch the heart. Bye!